Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. The SGX Nifty is actually up about 8 points right now, but without further ado, let's quickly boil this down to stocks that should be on your radar this morning. Our team is here as always. Good morning to all of you guys. Anuj, jump starting with you. What's on your radar today?
So, Surabhi, one large cap and one mid cap. Infosys is my stock to watch. We're just discussing IT. Infosys has closed about 200-day moving average for first time since the exit of Mr. Sikka. And yesterday there was huge delivery buying of about 400 crores. So, if it sustains about 200-day moving average, there's a good chance of further rally in Infosys. So that's something to watch out for. The other stock is Delta Corp. Again, it's a stock which has done phenomenally well, and it's within kissing distance of lifetime high. It's absorbed some selling. Some influential names had exited, and that's not impacted the stock much. Continues to see accumulation in cash market. And it's a stock which is going through multiple re-rating. They had acquired Adup52.com for 160 crores. I think that alone is worth multiples of that now. So that's one company which is quietly going through a bit of a re-rating, and I think is going through more of that.
All right. Well, there was a 17% fall in Lupin and a 770 crore delivery-based selling. Ekta, stock of the morning again?
Well, yes, Lata, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some amount of bottom fishing which is coming into Lupin, simply because they did mention that they would try to resolve these issues within the span of the next 6 odd months, though it generally takes 18 to 24 odd months, but obviously that's a higher amount of expectation. Plus, one of their key drugs, levothyroxine, which is an FY19 launch, is not filed from these two facilities. Credit Suisse, in fact, has upgraded the stock to neutral versus underperform, and CLSA is confident also at this point in time and maintaining its buy on Lupin. So maybe there could be some amount of respite today, but doesn't take away from the fact that it's a long road ahead.
Okay, levothyroxine. I'm going to start practicing how to say that. I'll cross-check with Ekta again. Thanks, Ekta, very much for the latest on Lupin. Lata, Axis Bank is on your radar today?
Yesterday they announced that there is a board meeting on Friday which will enable the board to raise more capital. The talk is already, we confirmed that story that Bain Capital and other PE companies are speaking to Axis Bank. Axis Bank, in terms of its peers, it may look well capitalized now at 15.9%, but it has large loan loss provisions to be taken and a growth of 16% to be maintained. And compared to its peers, like for instance SBI and ICICI, doesn't have subsidiaries that it can encash. And SBI, of course, now has even the government of India behind it. So I guess capital was always something they would look for. That's confirmed. So today, good day for Axis.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next. Varinder is watching out for Arvind. All-important press conference today, right, Varinder?
Well, I may sound like a broken record for the last 2 days, but today is a press conference at 12:30 p.m. and it could be important because we have been hearing about that demerger of brand and retail business coming in. The stock has already moved up 10%, so keep that on back of your mind. We'll be awaiting details in terms of how much debt could be transferred in both the entities put together. I'm not pretty sure whether those details will come out or not, but clearly if you have to work analyze the numbers, the total enterprise value based on the brand and retail and textile works around 17,000 crores, which is a bit higher than the current market price. So it's a big development in terms of the demerger happening for the brand and retail business, and analysts will be pouring in terms of data coming in from the senior management today at 12:30, so I'll keep an eye on that.
Okay, Nisha, Bharti Airtel, the block deal?
Yes, Lata, it's a large transaction and a huge supply of papers in terms of Bharti Airtel coming in the market. So stock clearly is expected to be under pressure. In fact, in the last hours of trade yesterday, it already went under pressure and ended at 514 rupees per share. So 5% stake being offloaded by Qatar Foundation Endowment's Arm Street Pillars, which had invested way back in 2013, and 473 rupees to 490 rupees per share is the range in which the block deal will happen. So 9,500 crores worth of transaction on Bharti Airtel.
Okay, Nisha, thanks a lot for that. Should start in red, but I won't be surprised if it ends in green, actually, the stock. But Ekta, Taro's numbers and impact on Sun?
Well, it should be positive for Sun Pharma because the Taro numbers have come in a little better than what the street's dismal expectations were in any case. So sales are down 25% year on year, but nonetheless, the sales are up 5% on a Q-on-Q basis. So that's a positive. Margins also above 50-odd%, so that's in line with expectations. And the profit was impacted by forex fluctuation, but maybe we could see some amount of respite on Sun Pharmaceuticals simply because of that 5% Q-on-Q rise in sales.
Okay. Well, Cipla?
Well, Cipla, I expect the stock to be in the green actually firmly, and that's because the management commentary was very positive yesterday. There was a lot of disturbance because the gross margins had fallen for Cipla this quarter, but the management did say that, you know, that was because of one-offs such as GST, etc. Separately, they said that the cost control initiatives which they have put on board will really start reaping in terms of the second half in FY19.
Okay, so some bear covering in pharma is possible because of Sun and Cipla. Anisha, you have a bunch of earnings.
Well, yes, I'll start with Hitachi. Now, the company continues to report losses, but I see the stock in green because the numbers are better than expectations, and year on year that has improved, so green on that one. Moving on to Dalmia Bharat, the sales volume are higher by 7%. Yes, the EBITDA per ton for the cement business is pretty much flat, just down about 2%, but the finance cost has come down, driving the profits higher by 232%, and that's the reason the stock should hold up in the green. Similar story for Adlabs. The numbers are not that great, the numbers remain weak, but the real story is in the deleveraging plan announced by the management yesterday. They are looking to sell off the Novotel Hotel and the other 200-acre land as well. So that should really keep the stock in the green today. Lastly, for Tata Coffee, that's not the case for them. They should be in the red given that the margins as well as the revenue have declined for them. Margins and net profit has declined for them, and also the volumes are down about 10% for the year. Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we come to more earnings and other news, Indigo will definitely be in the red after the shocking incident where some ground staff manhandled and dragged a passenger at the Delhi airport on October 15th after a tiff, and it was recorded by a whistleblower. Indigo president and whole-time director Aditya Ghosh has apologized, said stern action has been taken against the staff. The Civil Aviation Minister Gajapati Raju has sought a report from the DGCA on the matter.
Okay, that's Interglobe Aviation. In news for not so pleasant reasons this morning. Ronit, back to you with more earnings now.
So I'll start with the good set of numbers. First, Polaris, good numbers before their delisting. Revenue was up 20%, as well as the margins, big expansion coming in. And the profit after tax was told to show up 140% at 72 crores. Moving on to Ballarpur, finally the losses reduced for the company. The loss came in at 320 crore versus a loss of 620 crore year on year. Huhtamaki, good set coming in after a weak Q1. EBITDA was up 15%, as well as the margins, slight expansion of 180 basis points. Moving on to the weak set, Manappuram came out with a subdued set of numbers. The AUM growth came in the negative for the first time in 12 quarters, as well as their net profit was down around 17%. Finally, moving on to Vinati Organics, slight uptake in revenue, but the margins came in lower, largely due to negative operating leverage kicking. So you can expect the stock to be in the red.
Okay, all right, Ronit, many thanks for that. So let's quickly now recap our morning top 10 list of stocks. Stocks that could see some gains today include Infosys, Delta Corp, Arvind, Sun Pharma, Cipla, Hitachi, Dalmia Bharat, Adlabs, Polaris and Ballarpur Industries. Stocks that could be under pressure are Bharti Airtel, Tata Coffee, Manappuram Finance, Vinati Organics and Interglobe Aviation.
Well, the SGX Nifty is indicating that we'll have a flat start after 100-point downtick yesterday. Ashwini Gujral, Sudarshan Sukhani and Mitesh Thakkar now join us. Good morning, gentlemen. Ashwani, your call yesterday was to short, and yesterday you said that for the near term at least you would want to sell the rallies. For today, what would be the call on the Nifty and the Bank Nifty?
Good morning, Anuj. Today is a bit more difficult because after a trend day, you generally tend to have a pullback unless the follow-through is so strong. But today you want a 40-odd point, 40-50 point pullback from where you can get short again, because the way crude is shaping up, if IT is in a bull market, so is crude. So I would think that this will engineer some sort of correction. The way, it's a clear movement towards resources away from financials. I think there could be downside, but today you need to watch out. It's not a sell at open. You need some amount of rally to sell into, and maybe we'll close, marginally below yesterday's lows. So that way it will be a bit of a sideways day. Similarly on the bank nifty, because bank nifty had that 10% move on a single day. So it's sitting on way too much profit, way too much overbought situation. So little push will take it down 500-600 points. That is the idea of trying to go short on rallies on the bank nifty particularly.
Okay. Sudarshan, what's the index strategy? Avoid it altogether?
Good morning. Yesterday 10,400 was breached on the downside, and that was the trigger to close long positions. And those long positions have been closed profitably. We have been trailing our stops, keeping them and raising them. So that's okay. At some point, a trade will be extinguished. Today, as Ashwini said, is a slightly more difficult day, but the trend has not changed. So far the trend is up, and one down day may have changed it, may not have changed it. But that the evidence is not in front of us. So we assume that the trend is up, and I would be a buyer in the Nifty after the first 10 or 15 minutes. My stops are 10,340. This is a day trade because if the Nifty is closing weak, I am not going to carry it even if the stops are not hit. So if the Nifty is closing strong, then obviously I am carrying it for tomorrow. But I would be a buyer in the morning, and I am not touching Bank Nifty. There is a sector that I am fairly bearish on, and Lata, I continue to be so, that's PSU banks. I am not very keen on touching the Bank Nifty. Also, I am bearish independently on Bharti Airtel. I have never picked up that breakout that happened. I think that was not a genuine multi-year breakout. There are many reasons why I think that. So these are two areas which I am not touching, and pharma as a theme is something that should be looked into for anyone who's buying. That's a general statement, but for today I've already told you I would like to buy the Nifty.
Well, that's interesting. You're looking at some buying opportunities in pharma, Sudarshan. We'll come back to that when we talk stocks. But let me go to Mitesh as well. Good morning, Mitesh. Your approach to things today, and what's your index trade?
Good morning. So I think yesterday we did get some kind of a breakdown on the intraday charts. Typically corrective setup which should give a stronger pullback than what we have seen. I think the Nifty, as Sudarshan rightly said, 10,350, 340 is the support zone. But my sense is that after a bounce back, it might get broken. So maybe a 1 or 2 day kind of subdued pullback might happen over here. My sense is that overall we will get into a mild range of 10,420 to roughly about 10,250, and buying would be advisable around the 10,250 mark. The Bank Nifty, which had a big breakout about 25,150, 200 levels, I think closer to 25,250, 300, therefore now becomes a buying zone, and I would still hope that 25,150 holds on the downside, and we'll keep a stop loss below that. Bank Nifty to me still appears to be slightly stronger index despite the fact that it also had a good correction yesterday, apart from the Nifty IT. So I think buying Bank Nifty declines is what I would start with, but Nifty, if it breaks 10,340, then we'll wait for another 80-90 points, and see if the bigger support holds out.
Okay, fair point. Let's discuss individual stocks then. Ashwini, what's on your list?
See, Capital First is a sell with a stop of 714, target of 690. Equitas is a sell with a stop of 145, target of 132. Max Financial Services, that's a sell with a stop of 560, target of 535. NBCC is a buy with a stop of 280, target of 295. And Hexaware is a buy with a stop of 330, target of 345. Incidentally, I believe that IT may have bottomed out and it's now turning. So maybe since we don't have an FDA type situation there, on declines you would tend to buy into IT just to diversify into globally oriented spaces in case we are going to get some amount of inflation scare coming in the future. So probably you would diversify towards some global stocks as an IT.
Okay, yes, sell NBFC, buy IT. Something of that is playing on your stocks as well, Sudarshan?
Yes, in fact, the two sectors, IT and pharma, they did not participate in the bull market, and they are starting their own rallies now, own bullish trends. So both sectors should be focused on for buying. NBFCs are selling opportunities. This is a short-term sell, but they are there. There is significant weakness still coming in. So Bajaj Finance is a short sell, and so is ICICI Prudential. Both stocks are suggesting lower levels are coming in the near term. The key word here is near term. At some point, I think ICICI Prudential will be a wonderful buying opportunity. We will be buying an insurance company at much lower prices. So that should also be kept in mind by investors. But for traders, both are short sells. There are three buying opportunities, three buys that I've identified. Bharti Infratel. Infratel is a buy. Unlike Bharti Airtel, it has a better chart and more momentum on the upside. Tech Mahindra from the IT pack, either we pick up something on IT or pharma. Both sectors are giving opportunities for buying. So Tech Mahindra and Britannia from FMCG, that sector also is stable and probably likely to outperform.
Okay, so IT is finding its way through lots of buying lists this morning. Mitesh, let's come to you. Your stocks for the day.
Yeah, so I have a mix of buy and sells, and in fact, after a long time, I do have 3 sells. It's just a stock-specific call. Cummins India appears to be getting through a negative zone. It has some important pivot at about 881, 880. So once that breaks, and that's only about 1% away, sell with a stop at 896. Look for declines to about levels of 850. 2 buy calls. Godrej Consumer is a buy. I think it's giving some continuation signals of the upside. So buy with a stop at 962. Look for 1015 kind of target. Gen Irrigation, after a good chart, has given a good pullback to very strong support zones. So that's a buy with a stop at 101. Look for targets of 110. And 2 more sell calls. Repco Home, after a long time, has finally broken the key support of 600 to about 595. So would sell this with a stop at 602.5. Look for a target of 565 to begin with. And Cox & King, it's a cash stock, so you can't go short, but people who are holding deliveries, I think the stock has broken an important consolidation on the downside. So sell with a stop at 262 for targets of 230.
Mr. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com is with us. Good morning, sir. So many stocks to discuss with you. Can we start with Manappuram? What did you make of the numbers?
See, I think Manappuram, I won't call it as a disappointment, but that's definitely the numbers are seen to be little flattish. Because if I just take a QOQ call with a PAT of 160 crore against 155 crore, there is a marginal increase. That's what I say, that I'm not calling it as a bad number, but you know, they can definitely be called as a flattish number, because if you see, the income has fallen by about 15 crore to 840 from 855 on a sequential basis, when the PAT has just risen by about 5 crore. So this is, you know, I don't think that this will really be cheering the market going forward.
And the other one I wanted to ask you, Vinati Organics. I mean, mentally we were prepared for, chemical companies largely doing well. Vinati looked a little soft in terms of margins.
That's right. In fact, Vinati, I would call that Vinati has posted the flattish kind of numbers. And if you really see, you call this company as an API company, and the kind of valuations it has been ruling at, probably largely to do more with the momentum, because if you really take a fundamental call also, I don't think that these kind of valuations really justify, and I am not impressed with the numbers having seen, because they are again seen to be quite flattish kind of numbers.
Mr. Tulsian, good morning. 2 stocks that I want to discuss with you, and they have corrected sharply from their recent highs. UPL and Yes Bank, both down 18% from their highs. What's the call here?
See, again, Anuj, I think that both are giving the good buying opportunity, because if you really take a call first on UPL, excellent numbers having posted by the company for Q2, and in the Latin American market, they have been seen improving their positions, because if you really take a call on in Q1 numbers, Latin America has given them a hit, but going forward the things have started improving, and if you really take the situation going forward, I think the situations are seen to be quite good because of their all excellent presence in the agrochemical, in the seeds business and all kind of things, and I'm quite hopeful that the H2 will be much better. And this is in fact what I've seen one typical behavior with UPL, that this is seen as a high volatile stocks. It swiftly corrects by 70-75 rupees and swiftly goes up by the same amount. So maybe post it on expectations of excellent Q2 numbers, which are in our opinion are seen to be better if not excellent. The liquidations on the long positions is seen happening, and maybe some profit booking also. But once it starts moving up swiftly, then it will be seen it can show a rise of about 60-70 points in a very short time. So definitely a buy call on UPL. Coming specifically on Yes Bank, except for divergence issue, because if you take the core numbers, if you just exclude the asset quality for the time being, and even that has having got recovered to the great extent, maybe about 75% of that in the subsequent quarters, except for the divergence issue. Because if you really take the ICICI numbers, they have not divulged, or they have not revealed the divergence number of the RBI, because the RBI audit or the numbers have yet to come. So I don't think that that's something unusual with Yes Bank. That is a usual phenomenon with all banks, and we are again keeping a very positive view on Yes Bank, and this fall and this correction should be used as a buying opportunity as an investor.
Okay. Morning, Mr. Tulsian. Just coming down to some of the important events and numbers today. On Arvind in particular, I mean, the market is awaiting whether there will be that demerger announcement or not, and life and brand, the brand business. If we do get that demerger, any sense of the kind of value that could be ascribed to it, and what happens to Arvind from here on?
See, I think if you if I touch on the existing position or maybe the existing valuation, share is ruling at 52-week high. Share market cap of the company is now at about maybe 12,000 crores or sub 12,000 crore. And even if I take that 10% divestment, which has happened in the brand business for about 740 crore, because one can always argue that the brand business will be carrying a substantial valuation. There is no point in giving the sum of part valuations and breaking them in two parts to arrive at the full value, because you always have a discount element existing. So even if I take 15, 16, 17,000 crore as a valuation, because 7,500 crore for the brand, which I don't agree, which I don't take a call, because brand business has yet to catch on, because the company is only making more into the garments and textiles, and the brand has really seem to be catching on from here. Then still taking all this into account, I think for the near term, or maybe for at least for a couple of months, even if the demerger announcement happens, I won't be surprised to see the profit booking coming in, because as I said, that market cap of closer to 12,000 crore, 11,800 crore, with a share ruling at 52-week high. Again, typically we have seen with Arvind Limited also, the kind of volatility or maybe the swing, which we see into the share price coming in swiftly with a range of about 12 to 15% also. So I won't be surprised. I'm not saying that stock is looking dangerous or it can correct by 40, 50 rupees, but I won't be surprised to see the share seeing profit booking of 30, 40 rupees also, if no announcement comes in, or maybe the terms of the announcements, or maybe even if the announcements of demerger happens, I won't be ruling out the profit booking coming in, because in the current circumstances, the stock is looking fully priced.
Okay. Yes, has run up significantly.